When you put the most powerful energy source in the world near your beating heart. You're about to find out. Did you know that many billionaires are walking around with a salt pouch around their Versace shirts? It's true. Why would they do this? Did you know that many Buddhist gurus wear a salt pouch, and they have been doing it for thousands of years and not telling anyone about it? It's pretty interesting if you ask me, because if there's one thing we can say about this universe, it's that it's salt. Without a doubt, salt is the most important mineral on the planet. The ocean is filled with it, plants are filled with it, the dirt is filled with it, rocks are made out of it, your blood is filled with it. People survive for years at a time in a hospital bed off of nothing but salt and water. It preserves absolutely anything for an indefinite amount of time. It is the elemental building block of creation. And of course, it's what gives crystals all their power. But I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know. What you don't know is there's a specific kind of salt that's been hunted down by kings, emperors, and sultans for generations. Salt that has been excavated from an ancient ruin which is scientifically tested and shown to have vibrational energy that's off the charts. This salt is so powerful, you just have to put it near your heart and your destiny immediately starts to change. Success stories with this salt are beyond belief, are pouring out every single day because of this salt. We call it spiritual salt. When this spiritual salt is put against your chest, it causes a truly unexpected phenomenon. There's a point of instant communication between the salt on your chest and the salt in your heart that creates a force field of positive energy. The energy grows and grows and gathers more strength. This, in turn, brings out a harmony in your life that no talisman or trinket can offer. You will be feeling love all day long. People will feel your love and want to give it back to you. People will want to find ways to give you money. You just sit back and relax and let the salt do all the work. And your life will just get easier and easier. Jews call it Jewish salt. Buddhists call it Buddhist salt. And I call it the last thing you'll ever need to buy for success in your life, because what it will do for you is that good. Now I would like to bless you with the wisdom of this all-powerful mineral that can turn your life around on a dime, no matter how hopeless you think your situation may be. But not all salt is created the same. You can't just put table salt on sacrifices and think the Lord will accept that. Tradition has it that there was a specific kind of salt used for this purpose. Salt, unlike any other. Scholars believe there's only one kind of salt that this could be referring to, and it is a salt revered in every religion on the face of the planet. Taoism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. Wars have been fought over this particular kind of salt. Buddhists call it Buddhist salt, but Christians call it Christian salt. Jews call it Jewish salt. We just call it spiritual salt. But it's all the same salt. It all comes from the same crystal, known in Hindi as the crystal of life. Getting your hands on this specific salt 100 years ago would cost you a fortune, and possibly your head, because it gives off a vibration that can only be described as miraculous. It has now been proven over thousands of test subjects that it has unbelievable health benefits. It aids digestion, purifies your blood, and it creates new neural connections that make you sharper. But that's not where it ends. That's where it begins. Because this salt also brings what you might call good luck, even though luck has nothing to do with it. The vibration from this salt taps into forces in the universe that invite blessings into your life. I'm talking about people finding their soulmate in a matter of days just by holding this salt against their heart for a few minutes. I'm talking about people getting promotions at work just by holding this salt against their heart. I'm talking about stress melting like hot butter on a flame just by holding this salt against their heart. I'm talking about people getting business ideas just by holding this salt against their heart. I wear mine around my neck every day, and I have literally gone from a $2,000 overdraft with fees piling up every day to making over $5 million every year, whilst working in my spare time and doing charity work and racquetball the rest of the time. I believe in fate. I see it play out every day of my life, and I believe you clicked on this video for a reason. And the reason is that this is a turning point in your life, a day you will never forget. I don't know you, but I know one thing. You're in pain of one kind or another. Psychiatric pain, psychological pain, marital strife, loneliness, the pain of debt, the pain of loss, the pain of boredom, the pain of addiction, the pain of childhood trauma, the pain of never having a minute to yourself, the pain of looking in the mirror and feeling like you got punched in the gut with a bowling ball because of the way your body looks, The pain of jealousy of celebrities and everyone in your social media feed who seems to have a better life than you. And you know, deep down, there's something in this video that can get you out of that pain. And you're right. As sure as the seat you're sitting in, the answer to the plan is right here. Look no further. Forget about binaural beats and horoscopes. They can't save you. The real reason you're here is so that you can learn the most powerful force in your development as a human being. To find one thing separating you from a life wishing you were something you're not. To actually being something that you weren't. Whether that's wealthy, whether that's popular, whether that's happy, whether that's just having things go your way. It's not the law of attraction. There's simply too much that can go wrong with the law of attraction. Yes, it's true, your thoughts control your destiny, but one wrong thought and everything you built mentally is down the drain. Who can possibly keep to a regimen like that? For the law of attraction to actually work, you'd need the focus of a Zen master who's been practicing his craft for decades. For the rest of us, it's just another dead end. It's just not practical. No. And, at its core, it's impossible to actually make it work. What you need is something you can hold in your hand or wear around your neck that gives you undeniable feelings of well-being and good luck in every aspect of your life. What do you have to do to make this work? No special thinking, absolutely nothing. The spiritual salt does all the work. It works for married men, divorced men, disabled men, veterans, married women, divorced women, and even teenage girls trying to figure it all out. Absolutely everyone will benefit, even little kids, as we'll explain. What you're about to learn is something so powerful, nobody can possibly get it wrong. You can't screw this up if you tried, because, for once, you don't have to make it work. It works on you, giving you the powers of decades of inner work in just seconds. And it'll continue working for you so long as you hold it up against your heart. Hold it up to your third eye and you'll see different dimensions. But that's for advanced folk, for another time. People think trinkets have no power, and most of them don't. But true talismans do hold power. A talisman is a physical object that actually holds vibrations that have been used in rituals for thousands of years for a very good reason. And when you have the salt used in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, the one every major religion claims as their own, when you have the salt compounded by Dr. Sun Si Miao, one of the most famous Eastern medicinal gurus who practices medicine with talisman the way his ancestors did in 779 AD, a man who commands a congregation of 8,000 every single day because he can heal practically anything that ails anyone, and yet he's virtually unknown to the American public until today. When you have the salt that clashes and bloody wars were fought over, when you have the salt with a vibration so high you can't possibly stop smiling when it's near your heart, well, then you have to start paying attention. One reason why? Because this site is targeted for annihilation by some very powerful people. We're getting threats from Chinese communist leaders. We've actually gotten an email from Li, the premier of China. Yes, we got an email from this piece of work telling us to take our website down or face litigation. We're going to pretend we never got that email because we know we have the right to do what we're doing. They do not own this salt. It's of nature. It belongs to the people of the world. And therefore, anyone can sell it just as anyone can sell turmeric. It's bad enough that they own TikTok, which can shut anyone down with the flick of a finger, and they simultaneously control the narrative and influence the American people's vote and ideology. They have to shut down an innocent site like ours that's just trying to help people. But there's a reason they're so touchy about selling this in America, because this salt will give Americans an unfair advantage in business and in life. And if you haven't noticed, they believe that competing with and beating America is their highest priority. The advantages of having this salt are many. In romantic life, there will be advantages, and in your memory, there will be advantages. In your clarity and your happiness and your peace of mind, there will be advantages. This is nothing to save the fact that you'll be making more money in ways you really didn't even see coming. The money comes to you, which is why this will improve America's economy and lifestyle wherever it goes. And that's exactly what they don't want. Just hear Janet Wilhelm talk about this salt. Spiritual salts are something I'd heard about, but never got the guts to actually buy. But your video was so compelling I had to give it a try, and OMG. You can feel the energy when you hold it in your hands. That's why I keep it around my neck every single day. And the results have just been beyond belief. I hold it up against my third eye sometimes, and I just feel unreal. I see things I can't describe in words. I get unexpected checks all the time now. That never happened to me. I got a raise twice in 6 months. That never happened to me. I've never felt happier, and I'm not feeling happier because of the money. The happiness is coming from the inside. I'll keep this on my heart for as long as I live because not having this talisman is really not living at all. If you want your life to improve and improve steadily every single day, you're about to find out how to do it and do it effortlessly, without any doubts about if it'll work because you can feel it working. The difference between this solution and others is the difference between darkness and light, because you'll know how well it works, not by me telling you, but by you experiencing it yourself. And, in a word, it's all about this strange little salt. From a very large pink luminescent crystal off the coast of the China Sea, the fact that if you stick with this video, if you really black out everything going on and focus really close on every word you're reading, you're going to understand yourself better than you ever have. You're going to understand why Chinese people were killing each other by the thousands in 776 AD over a few barrels of this salt. A little history is in order. Salt was always a hot export item in China from 200 BCE until today. Their biggest customers were always India, who understood the spiritual value of Chinese salt. But there was a single type of crystal that shed a single type of salt. That was used in the Second Holy Temple in Jerusalem in 110 BCE, before Jesus lived. That salt, it was believed, had almost magic powers. The Buddhists wanted to take credit for it, so they called it Buddhist salt. And they do deserve a lot of credit for preserving it for so long and so well, until it was forcibly taken from them and taken back as we'll describe. You can find scarce mention of Buddhist salt on Google because every time someone makes a post about it, it's usually taken down at the request of the Chinese, who, as you know, are buddy-buddy with Sergey Brin and Google. One day, Emperor Zhuan, in 770 AD, heard about the power of this rare and special salt that was used in the temple and was being hoarded by Buddhist monks. He sent henchmen to confiscate it from all monasteries in China. The henchmen were brutal. They yanked the Buddhists by their ponytails and shoved their faces in the mud until they told them where they were kept. And they knocked them unconscious with the end of a dagger axe. Women were raped, men were enslaved, and we never heard from this particular group of Buddhists again. They were put out of business. They likely fled or became vassals of the emperor. The henchmen confiscated all of the salt in big barrels, which they loaded onto wagons pulled by horses. There was so much salt that they had to keep calling in backup to bring more barrels to take it all. Naturally, the Emperor Zhuan himself wanted the lion's share of this unique salt for him and his many wives. Now, you may not realize this about the Buddhists, but they seem powerful and nonviolent, and they are, but they can also be quite pugnacious and vengeful when they want to be. They were ticked about the loss of this salt and how it was going to be abused by the emperor. They wanted it back. So Buddhists from other monasteries hatched a plan. They knew there were many opposition clans against Emperor Zhuan. The clans looked for any opportunity to start up with the emperor and hopefully depose him. They told these clans what had happened and where the salt was. They explained the extremely spiritual nature of the salt. They said they wanted the salt back, and if they got it back, they'd give them some of it, and boot it would greatly weaken the emperor's power. They told the clan how breathing it can heal every woe a person has. The next thing you need to know, these clans are united and got into a bloody battle over the barrels of salt. 4,255 men were killed that day, if you count the deaths from both sides. And most of the salt was returned to the Buddhists where it belonged. The clans took their cut of the loot. With the salt in their corner, the clans became more united and more powerful, and over their possession of the Buddhist salt led them to becoming one of the largest empires in all of Asia. Maybe you've heard of them. It was the Li family who took the lead and founded the famous Tang dynasty. No historians can explain the rise of the Li family to rule an empire as large as China in the matter of months. But the Buddhists knew very well what had happened. They were using the power of the salt for their very own greedy ends. And as expected, it worked. The Buddhists still have over 1,000 tons of the stuff, but they are so secluded and pious, they have zero interest in the power and wealth that they bring. They use it purely to help them with their meditation, and without them even trying, people come to them as if pulled by a magnet, eager to shower them in money so they can continue their work and keep teaching them the secrets of peace of mind that have eluded Americans since the Civil War. Listen, I'm no guru, I'm no monk, I'm no fasting, meditating, ascetic, philosophizing about the meaning of life. I'm just a kid from Santa Monica, California, which means you probably think I know how to surf, which I don't. I was only able to stand on the board once, and that was when I got smacked down by an oncoming wave behind me and got sucked into the water undertow and nearly drowned. Everyone was watching, and with that wipeout, I wiped out the last chances of any girls on the beach. I was never much of a magnet for the ladies. I saw girls around me fawning over bad boys, football players, and downright gangsters. I'd spend my Friday nights alone playing Nintendo. I was a writer, but I had nothing to put in my own autobiography. It was completely blank because I'd never done anything cool in my life. I was going to write about how Cindy Patel slapped me when I tried to use some cheesy pickup line that I'd gotten off of Google. As I looked at those blank pages, I said to myself, I have to get out a little. I gotta travel. And that's when I saw the sign at the school. It's the fate I was talking about. They were offering a free trip to China to meet a Buddhist community. I just had to write the best paper on Buddhism of anyone, and you're in. It's tickled my research bone. I figured I could have just some solid time in the library, and I'd have this one in the bag. Actually, I had a friend in Washington, D.C. scan me some of the pages from the Library of Congress to get some info I knew nobody else would have. And one thing that kept coming up in those pages was the special salt, and all the power it brought with it. You had to get my hands on it. I won, of course. The flight was a breeze because I was so excited. I told myself I'm going to find something out that nobody else in America knows. I'm going to find the special salt. I went from one monk to the next to the next. Each one gave me the heave-ho, until I landed on one of the highest-ranked gurus in all of China. He was as humble as he was powerful, and he pointed to a cabin and said that it was full of this salt. I asked him if I could buy some. He said this was very unorthodox, as it had been kept secret by Buddhists for thousands of years. If I share with you, will you promise to only use it for good? I promise with my life, I replied earnestly. A lot more was said, but we gotta get to the good part of the story. He took me to a shed with a bunch of barrels. You see this? As he gestured to the barrels. Yes, it's salt, I said, amazed at the sight in front of me. No, not just any salt. This is Buddhist salt. We've lost many lives trying to protect it. It comes from the pink luminescent crystal, and we fought hard to keep this away from evil forces. I can see you mean well. I want to give you a pouch. Pouch had beautiful embroidery on it, so it was something I would wear anyway. Put it up to your chest. So I did. That was when something changed inside of me. The first thing that happened is I burped. I know that seems lame, but it was actually an important sign. Something in my stomach had immediately digested that wasn't digested before, and I felt a relief. But there was more. The vibration of the talisman would make me feel a little high, almost like I took a whiff of a blunt, but this felt much more natural. I felt at peace, like I've never before in my life. What is doing this to me? I asked, still immersed in this soaring feeling. The monk explained, it's bringing out the happiness you already have inside. This is the true happiness Americans are looking for, but they're looking for it in all the wrong places. I want you to have this, but remember, use it for only good. Keep it over your heart, and you'll only have blessings in your life. I'm trying to describe a feeling you can't really describe. When I touched it to my heart, it felt warm, like white-hot ooze, and the warmth led to a certain kind of love. Love for myself, love for the guru, love for life. Everything just felt right. All was well in the world. He told me that this was only the beginning, and I was excited to find out what he meant. I took it back to America, and quietly and quickly, its other powers made themselves known. I became very wealthy in a short space of time. In fact, I was amassing a fortune. I would pick stocks and they would rise. I'd pick another stock, it would rise too. I'd keep doing this, and before I knew it, people started asking me for advice, and I had no idea what to tell them. Hedge fund managers calling me every day. I wasn't going to show them what was hanging around my neck because that would be the end of my competitive advantage. And there are other benefits. Since I put that thing on, I've been with more women than I could ever count. I've settled down and got married to a gorgeous blonde named Tris Henderson. I have 3 adorable and bright kids, and they all wear the same necklace I do. They are star students and all very popular. Well, it hasn't all been roses. Things did get weird at one point. Someone courted me in my office one day when everyone was gone. I know your secret, he whispered, even though there was only 2 of us around. What are you talking about? I murmured as I tried to stay calm and avoid looking into his eyes. He pulled his hand into my shirt and pulled out the necklace. This is it, isn't it? Some kind of spiritual salt that gives you your good luck, right? I read about it. That's how you pick all those stocks, right? So what if it is? I want it. Well, you're gonna have to kill me first. I don't want to beat you up, but I want you to get me one. I refused, obviously. I mean, I need the competitive advantage. Look, Brad, have you reached every dream you could possibly reach? I nodded. Well, then you got nothing to lose. He was right. I'd accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. I had the girl, I had the house, I had the kids, I had the cash. So I caved. I charged him 10 grand for just one talisman, which he gladly accepted. And believe me, he got the better of that deal. He was in the millions within a few months. So I lost practically nothing. I was 10 grand richer. People think he's a whiz, and he keeps the amulet in his shirt by his heart. Nobody knows what's going on. And the truth is, I could care less about his money. I've learned that happiness is far more important. If you don't have happiness, the money is worthless. And that reminds me of something the guru said. Yoshi Attaché was his name. He said, many Americans have come here, and all ask the same questions. How can I be happy? And I tell them, the question is the wrong question. It assumes that they're missing something. They're not missing anything. The happiness is already inside. You just need to bring it out. This is where you find joy, and this is where you find success. And just like that, no thought controlling, no reinforcing videos. I just held this near my heart and wore this around my neck. I was on cloud 9 all day long. And before any stressful situation, I would hold it against my forehead, against my third eye, and that just made it all the more powerful. Happiness washed over me, total calm, total peace, and I started to see my past and future in front of me. It made me feel alive, and I rocked whatever I had to do. Whether it was a presentation or a YouTube video I was making for my channel, ideas flowed. They just came to me. It was like my brain was turned on when it had been turned off my entire life. I had the imagination of my childhood. And this is not to mention the good luck I had. Girls would actually come up to me and just say, "You've got a good vibe. Want to get coffee sometime?" I had more girls than I could fight off. I started a rotation for which girls I would see and make sure no lies caught up to me. But I didn't have to lie much. It wasn't like the old days. I was a literal, real chick magnet. And that's how I found Triss. She was my pick out of 6 different girls I was dating at the same time. And I had the money to pay for all of them because I was picking stocks that were at their worst and became runaway hits the moment I bought them. As I said, I had a hedge fund managers watching what I was doing very closely. They wanted my secret. But I promised to only use this for good, and I know the hedge fund managers are always up to no good. So the secret stays safe with me. Well, me and that asshole. I started going to the gym with the spiritual salt next to my heart. I could lift more than any guys my size. It gave me more endurance. My trainer was absolutely shocked at how long I could go on the elliptical, even when I'd barely exercised my entire life. My muscles grew quickly, and I started to actually look like a man. I started to really enjoy looking myself in the mirror. I got new clothes, I hired a stylist to make sure I bought the right stuff, and my whole life was just taking off like a rocket. It was like a dream, only I was completely awake. Everything was going exactly the way I wanted it to, the way I dreamed it would be since I was a child. And the more satisfied I became with my life, the more I felt compelled to share it with others. I slowly started sharing this with my close friends and more distant friends, and they all wear the amulet religiously. They say things have never gone so well for them as it does when they're wearing that salt thing. Americans today have no idea what it means to be happy. They think if they saw a good Netflix program or heard a good joke or went to a good concert that they're happy. But you'll notice that those episodes of happiness last no more than a few hours. What they're actually experiencing is a rush of dopamine, just like with a drug that only lasts a few minutes. And what about the rest of their lives? Where's their happiness then? Cleaning, eating, sleeping, 70% of our life. No, there's no happiness during 70% of their life. True happiness comes from the inside, not the outside. It wells up inside your heart like a fresh spring has sprung, and it takes over your entire body until you can't help but smile and dance. It pours out in love for other people like marijuana, except it won't turn into a dope, and it lasts forever. It's natural. In fact, it makes you smarter, way smarter, able to do mathematical calculations that always made you scratch your head. You're able to pay attention perfectly and recall everything someone has said or everything you just read. I use it to write words you're hearing right now, and maybe you notice the power these words hold. The Buddhists know this power, but they don't want the power. They simply don't know what to do with it except meditate. But I have a feeling you know exactly what you want to do with this infinite power. I think you know exactly what to do, and when you get this ability to get absolutely anything you want in this world. Feeling attractive, luxury, wealth, endurance, and strength in the gym, the willpower to eat right, it's all attracted to you exactly the way the law of attraction is supposed to do, but can't. I have no doubt you will use it with great success beyond your wildest imagination, and that most importantly, you'll use it for good, because this can be used and has been used for very dark purposes. And I don't want this falling into the wrong hands. You will start making more money within days of holding this salt. Your relationships will blossom with friends, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, and with your children, with your parents, with your grandparents. When it's near your heart will always feel warm. Your love for all of them will shine as if it's bouncing off a mirror. The love will reflect back to you. You won't need to think about it. You won't be able to doubt it because it's there. The result is immediate. You'll just have this salt hanging around your neck in a beautiful pouch, attracting everything good and everything a little naughty to your doorstep. I mean, we're all entitled to a little fun, just don't get out of control. You'll breathe more slowly and more deeply with this on your heart automatically. Your heart will beat more regularly, you'll have more endurance. Your performance in the bedroom will be titanic. It's like my member has taken on a whole new life and size, like I'm a teenager again. And nobody will be able to take it away from you, because it's literally around your neck, and nothing can stop its beautiful vibrations. You're going to understand how to use salt to transform every aspect of your life, like your bank account, your waistline, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your diabetes type 2, your marriage, and your sense of peace and harmony with the world. The key is salt. It has always been salt, and it will be salt for as long as we live. Not table salt, not kosher salt. I'm not even talking about Himalayan salt, which has wonderful health benefits. All of these salts are great with your scrambled eggs, but it won't do anything for your life. There's only one kind of salt that holds real spiritual power beyond belief, and it has never come to America until today. We call it spiritual salt, and you get your hands on a pouch knitted carefully by female Buddhists from real monasteries. It's only been used by spiritual ascetics and emperors drunk with power for thousands of years. These are people who amass incredible abilities, like being able to not sleep for 15 days, not eat for 1 month, and give blessings to their followers that come true the same day. Blessings for healing cancer, heart disease, and even blindness. And this is the salt we used on sacrifices in the Holy Temple that caused a miraculous flame shaped like a lion to lick up the sacrifice. But the sacrifice better have this salt, or the miracles don't happen. This is the salt that nearly started a war, and is largely responsible for one of the most successful dynasties in China's history, the Tang Dynasty. It carries a powerful vibration that goes to your core, and makes actual changes to your brain chemistry and your cells and DNA, making you immediately sharper and healthier than you've ever been. But it also goes to your heart, which will cause you to fall in love with the love of your life, not to mention your wife. Just imagine waking up every morning and feel the love behind every tree, every leaf, every person driving on the road. Just imagine if everywhere you looked is love. That's what spiritual salt can give you. But that's just the beginning. It can give you better health. It can give you tremendous wealth. It can heal broken relationships. It can repair trauma from decades ago. It will make you happier than you've ever been in your entire life. It emits vibrations so powerful, you'll have to sit down when you get near it. Vibrations that'll knock your socks off. Vibrations that will make you so awash with peace, you'll never want to let it go. Vibrations that will cause other people to feel your vibrations. Let me tell you a little story. I was wearing an amulet, going through the airport security check, and since salt technically has metal in it, the amulet triggered the metal detector. The security guard took one look at it, and he just started to smile. "What is this?" he asked. "We call it spiritual salt." He said, "You should really sell that stuff. It's like it has vibration coming off of it, and I haven't felt this good all day. I keep one around my neck at all times, so its vibrations emit directly into my heart. Before I go into a meeting, I breathe it in. I hold it up against my third eye. At this point, I'm so calm and in control, and yet so happy that I'm like Tony Robbins of Boardroom." One of my friends, Jason Macon, said this: "Look, I'm not a spiritual person, I'm actually an atheist, but when I saw the way your life transformed, I had to give it a try. What's amazing about it is you don't need to believe in anything or think anything. It's just something you feel, and the results are immediate. I'm so grateful I found this, and I'm never letting this off my neck for as long as I live, because life with this is just on a completely different kind of level. Thank you, you're doing a great service." Hell, you guys need a break, don't you think? Gas prices, food prices, record homelessness, record inflation. Nobody likes the president, more infighting than ever before, so much confusion about sexuality. They don't even know who we are anymore. It's not every day you can get a product that actually started a war, but that's because it makes peace. Peace in your mind, peace in your relationships, peace in your bank account. In 40 years, I've never come across anything this powerful in the personal development space. I have affiliates lining up like it's the launch of a new iPhone, all wanting to sell the stuff, because the customers have never been so happy. They've never been so successful. As I said, we're not in this for profit. There's very little profit to be had when you consider my costs of getting it off the Buddhist hands and shipping it to America and then shipping it out to you. So I'm going to need you to help me out with the shipping. But that's about it. Aside from that, we're going to charge you the rock bottom price just to keep this site running. And that's not $10,000, which is what everyone else paid for it. But it's just $47 for 10 tablespoons of spiritual salt, packed tightly into a hand-embroidered pouch with a string so you can always have it over your heart. You'll get 10 times of that, $47. When you get your first unexpected check, or when you pick your first stock, this will be by far the smartest purchase you'll ever make. When you hold that pouch up against your heart, you'll immediately know you made the right decision. What other product out there actually gets you results on the first second? It doesn't exist. Not binaural beats. We're still trying to figure out what benefits that actually has. Not the impossible law of attraction.